What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Next Win podcast with your host, Aunt Ma.
Co-host Justin Vaseur.
And
Hey.
hey, in the previous episodes, we've been talking about you buying your first home.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Now I want to talk about your concerns of actually buying a home.
Mm.
So it's totally different, right? Everyone's they're always happy when they buy a home, and then at some point during the process, they start worrying, and then they just get a little stressed out.
Yeah.
Um, right now, I want to kind of know what's been taking you so long to buy a home from when you first started looking. So, how long has it been when you went to go see the first house till now?
It's been maybe like 6 months.
Whoa, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Why is it taking so long to buy a home?
Um. Well,
Are you not serious yet? You're just browsing?
I mean, there. It's kind of hard to say. Like, I'm serious, but at the same time, browsing. Um.
6 months ago, the rate was like 6%.
No, for sure. Yeah. I think. At that time, it was just a lot of, just kind of like how it is now. There's a lot of what do you call it? Um. Fear or
Okay. What are some of your fears?
just how the market was.
Oh, I
You know
see.
what I
You
mean?
didn't know
Just
which
like,
way it was going to
yeah, I
swing. And
didn't know. Like I think 6 months ago I was just looking and I wasn't really understanding the market quite
right.
well. So it was just like the typical fear that like people would have, oh, my house is gonna drop in value, blah blah, this
Yeah.
and that, whatever.
But now you're like, fuck it. It doesn't even
Yeah, right
matter.
right now if I buy a home that I can afford, I'm not too worried about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if it drops, it drops, but you're still holding it. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter to you. You're not
Yeah.
losing money. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like the concern really was just seeing where the economy was. We're at a point where like homes are the highest they've ever been, basically, besides like 2021 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then also interest rates are really high.
Yeah.
Also debt is really high.
Yeah.
They're bringing back the student loan.
The forgiveness.
Yeah, the payments and all that
Yeah.
stuff is coming back. Um, and then just some of the statistics that I've been seeing have been crazy. Like I think it's like 45%, or no, I think like 25% of homeowners are house poor,
Yeah.
something like that, where they
What does house poor mean?
from my understanding, what I read was like they're spending over 35% of their income on
Yeah.
their mortgage, and which can cause a lot of stress,
Right.
so like I already see it online through my Facebook friends
Yeah.
and social media that a lot of people are having a hard time paying their mortgage.
I think because what's getting everyone to buy a home right now is what they saw in 2021, they're like, oh my gosh, I could have made so much money. Right. So now when people are buying, they're like, I don't care. I want in because I want to make money too. So they are spending over 35% of their income
Yeah.
because I don't think they understand that I am also investing in my home. So before that, people are like, I'm buying a home because I want a home. I want to live in a home. I don't want to pay rent. But now the mentality is I'm investing in it because I want the equity later.
Yeah.
So they are going over budget because now it's a personal thing plus a business move put together. And some people forget that. Now they're like stressing, oh my gosh, why did I do this? Don't forget, it was an investment that's why you got into it.
Yeah. I could see that, but I also feel like a lot of people aren't educated like that.
Right.
So like
They need a good realtor.
it's almost like FOMO in
Yes.
it's a lot of FOMO that I see, um and people are just buying homes. Like, for example, like a really big example was when I went on a trip recently.
Yeah.
We met some people that lived here in the States,
Yeah.
and just kind of like talking to them, from my like impression, I did not see them as people that were ready to buy a home,
Yeah.
right? And so, yeah, dude was like, "Yeah, man, like we were kind of just driving by some houses really quick, and we were like, "Oh, should we go look at houses and like buy a home maybe?" And
Wow.
then and then they went and they bought a home, and then now they're kind of just like, "Oh crap."
Yeah.
but like they're not into real estate, they're not into business, they're not,
Yeah.
um they just jumped into something that they, didn't really know, and now they're paying this high interest, high payment,
Yeah.
and just seeing like the two levels of friends that I have.
Yeah.
I have the friends that are into investments, and then I have my friends that are kind of just, going through life day by day or
Right.
whatever, and they're buying homes.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot of people like that out there, and it might cause a lot of trouble, unfortunately.
There is. I think only time can tell. They can like if they can't afford it and then they
Especially if they don't
sell.
have, yeah, sorry, especially if they don't have a good real estate agent that,
Yeah, that actually cares about their life.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Um like if they're stressing it and then they got to sell, yeah, that puts you in a really bad position.
Yeah.
But you should never buy a home where you're like you think you have to sell it, you know. That's why I think it's great that you buy a home when you can afford it even if
Yeah.
the rate is high,
Yeah.
you know, because when it drops, you'll be in a better place. But think about if they were to hold on for a few more years and then sold it, and but they would say, "Do you remember that time we just were driving around and then all of a sudden we were like, let's just go buy a house? That was the best decision I've ever made." So
Yeah.
it's really just time can tell on that decision.
Yeah. I mean, the cool thing for them is that they had a lot of family help. Sorry.
You okay
Yeah.
there?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. For them, they had a lot of. Dang, what's going on?
Bro, we got some jasmine
Yeah.
green tea that I made from scratch.
I
Some
might take a little sip really quick.
boba that I made from Junbi.
Yeah, I got straight up all boba.
Nice. That's our lunch right there.
I think the cool part for them was that they had a lot of family help. So their family help with down payment, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's cool for them. Um, but yeah, that was basically my fear was, buying a home, the value goes down, blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
now with the education that I have, I could make more educated steps, I guess.
Where did this education come from? It's
Like
gotta
you,
be the podcast, bro.
the podcast talking to you guys,
Right? It's
obviously.
for sure, right? It's gotta be. There's so much stuff we
um,
just put out on this podcast.
yeah. That, and then also my circle of friends kind of changed a little bit.
Okay.
And then also I do like to dive in deep into things that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
So, I'll do a lot of research. I joined like a lot of like groups on Facebook.
Yeah.
Um, and it's funny because Facebook to me is like for older people,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of information on Facebook,
There is.
especially in these groups. Like you see, um, like people's processes, what they're going
Right.
through, what not to do, and things like that. And so, learning from that, Reddit is really cool.
Yeah.
Um, YouTube is cool, but I feel like it's very flashy.
Yeah.
You know what I
They
mean?
don't tell everything.
Yeah, they don't tell everything, and it's kind of hard to like gauge what to really do. But when you go into these like forums, people really pour out their like problems,
Yeah.
and so you're like, okay, I won't do that. I'll do this.
Yeah.
So learning through that, that's basically it.
All right. I want to get a little more personal about some other maybe angles of concerns of yours.
Yeah,
You know, you've been looking for 6 months
yeah.
and it can't just be like you haven't found the perfect house yet. Are there other things you're trying to take care of in your personal life and that's why it's a little bit slower?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think I've always had one of the concerns was like debt and credit.
Why does that matter?
Um,
Because you can still buy a home with your debt, right?
yes, definitely. Um, the only thing is like I don't want to mentally carry that on my head. You
You don't
know,
want to pay it for a house and then pay for your credit cards
yeah,
and
it
it's
just
too much.
yeah, not that it's too much. It's just I'd rather cut that down. Like just have a
Yeah.
house payment and a car payment or something. So over the last 6 months, I've been able to cut down my debt pretty well, and then also increase my credit score.
Nice.
So, I think when we first started the podcast, my credit score was like 730 to like 740 ish,
Yeah.
and now I'm at 770.
Nice.
Yeah, 780.
Nice.
Um, and so I know I can buy a home right now with
Yeah.
the stuff that I have. but yeah, I think cutting that down a little bit more
Yeah,
is cool too.
that's cool. I think you're trying to be very well prepared. A lot of people don't think like that. And so your concerns are different from a lot of other people's concerns, but these are like the right concerns that people should be thinking about, taking care of themselves before taking the next big step.
Yeah, also I think it worked in my favor in a sense
Yeah.
because 6 months ago too, I wasn't seeing the deals that I'm seeing now.
Yeah.
And so uh
Actually, the deals that I see now, I saw last year.
oh really?
So last year, Q4, I saw the best deals of my entire life. Like 80K off
Oh,
homes,
okay.
you know, uh, everyone's getting 2-1 buy downs, closing costs paid for. Like it was the best deals ever. So I think now heading into Q4 again, you're seeing it.
No, I think I'm talking more in the sense of the builds that are happening. So like for example, 6 months ago, there
Yeah.
was a few communities out here that weren't even built yet.
Oh,
You know what I
yes.
mean? So
There's new
now, yeah,
communities.
there's new communities that I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool,
Yeah.
and they're kind of affordable, you know. So, um, it kind of opened up the options a little bit
I
more.
see. That's cool.
Yeah, so I thought that was really nice. And on top of that, those incentives that you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Okay, I got a question for you. Usually, when I have clients, I help them figure out their monthly budget. They never think about that. They're just like, I've been looking at homes on Zillow for like 600 to 800,000. I kind of want to buy a home in that because it fits my criteria.
Hmm.
I'm like, hold up, but how much do you want to pay a month?
Right.
And they're like, 2,500 a month. And I'm like, well, that's not that. You're looking at like a
Yeah.
condo for
Yep.
400K.
Yep.
And then they're like, oh, so I really help them figure out their comfortable budget.
Hmm.
And you've been looking for 6 months, and I'm sure you've figured that out without a realtor. So,
Yeah.
like, how did you get to find that out yourself and how, for other buyers out there? Because I know what I do to help people, but I want to know on the buyer's side, like in your head, how did you get to that?
Yeah. So for me, it was just the basic rule of like 35%.
Okay.
And anything below that, it fits perfect. So, for me, it was more of combining me and my girl's income together and
Yeah.
seeing what 35% of that is. Um, and if the split fit my budget as well, then perfect, you know.
Is there, did you leave any space for, like, right now, I'm sure with all the skills that you have and your girlfriend who's progressing so much in her career that you guys are making the most money you've ever made right now, which is why you're making this big step. But do you also calculate, well, what happens if some things went down?
Mhm.
What happens if she doesn't have the job or if you don't get as many gigs because now the economy crashed and no one can buy stuff? Like,
Right, right. I didn't necessarily calculate for that. I didn't
yeah,
go that deep quite yet, but I know there's other options too, like if that were to happen where it's like you can house hack kind of thing.
right.
You know, you could have people live with you.
Nice.
So
So at worst, instead of selling the home that you just bought because you didn't have enough money, you would house hack it.
yeah, I would house hack it. I
That's
mean,
beautiful.
I think I think me and my girl are on the same page where if that were to ever happen, then we would do that. You
Yeah.
know, not we wouldn't want to, you
Yeah, of
know,
course. Yeah.
but I think we would at some point.
That's dope.
And I think we have like family and stuff that um could live with us
A
too.
lot of people don't think like that at all. I'll have clients that are like, we're in escrow, and then they see the monthly payments, and then all of a sudden they want to drop out of escrow.
Hmm.
And they're so scared. They don't want to talk to me anymore. And I'm like, hold up, dude. There's all these other things we can do. Like, that's probably not going to happen to you. Don't be too scared. If anything, you can just sell the home. That's
Uh-huh.
it. And you'll be fine. You know what I mean? If worst case scenario, you just sell your home. But there's, like you said, the options: house hacking, renting out, this and that. Like, there's so many ways to not stress out, you
Yeah.
know,
I think the only concern was like if we ever had to sell the home, um,
selling at the right time to not lose money.
yeah, to not lose money. I
Yeah.
think that's always like the scary part.
Yeah. Or you can
It,
just rent it out. So now you can, let's say, rent out your place, and now you guys can go get like a 2-bedroom apartment for 1 year,
true.
until things
Yeah.
come back up.
Yeah, I'm the kind of person that would, literally try everything before I get rid of something.
There's people out there that rent out homes and they live in apartments.
Yeah.
This is a question that I like to ask a lot of people is what kind of win are you looking to get out of this purchase?
What kind of win?
Yeah, what is your end goal here? Because you have personal in here where you're like, we want this big house and grow into it, but a lot of people they have all different kinds of reasons to buy a home. And I want to know what do you think is going to be your biggest win with this home? Is it, I don't know, the equity? Is it the trying to rent it out later? Is it just for you to live in, to give to your kids? Like what is this big win that
Yeah. I think it's kind of hard to say right now, but the number one thing is the equity for me. Um I also like to see, or I like to dive into different businesses. So like I've always thought of rental properties and things like that. So depending on the trajectory of how things go within our lives, it could potentially be like a rental property too.
So the biggest win you're trying to get is you're trying to get a big lump sum from the equity.
Yeah.
And are you trying to, when that happens and
Yes.
you say like all of a sudden there's 200,000
Yep.
that had jumped up, what are you going to do? Are you cash out refining it to buy some rentals, or are you selling it and then buying a better home?
That's a good question. Um,
What are you going to do with your $200,000, Justin?
yeah, that's a good question. So my thing uh, currently is trying to figure out ways to produce cash flow.
Yeah.
So I think maybe taking that equity and buying other properties
Yeah.
that generate cash flow in some way, or a business or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Um, I do feel like I have to look more into that, but I think taking that equity to create more cash flow.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think that's one of the biggest things that people don't think about, especially for myself. So I'm on my third home. I wish I've kept my other two homes, but I couldn't because I would sell the home and use the equity to buy a bigger home
Hmm.
because I keep outgrowing them, right? And so now I'm just like, damn, if I kept them, why didn't I do a cash out refi? I thought about it at the times, but I'm like, damn, two payments? I don't know. That stresses me out.
Right, right, right,
So it's really like trying to now dive deep into numbers as an investor and stuff like that and talking to the right people to see if it makes sense. It's just,
right.
that's a whole nother field, man.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, like I said, I think I have to learn those things
Yeah.
too. Um, but yeah, the idea is always cash flow. I think being able to generate income to where like I don't have to worry about money coming in
Yeah.
all the time. I think that'd be cool
You're just making it seem like after you buy a home, anything is possible and
for
you're not
sure.
worried.
Yeah,
And so my last question to you is, um, with even before you started looking 6 months ago, you had so many concerns about buying a home,
yeah.
and now you're ready. How do you feel now?
Excited.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel super excited.
that's awesome.
I think going into stuff like this, once you kind of have a solid foundation of thinking, then it's not scary.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I think once you kind of even if let's say it goes bad
yeah,
and I have to sell the property, excuse me. I have to sell the property. Um it's a learning experience,
yeah,
and um from there you could always make things better.
yeah.
So like again, like if you're able to um really create a solid foundation of education on what you're doing, then yeah, it's not scary.
I think that is a great way of thinking
Yeah,
and great advice for everybody. I hope everyone has learned, with all the concerns that Justin's had, you guys might have as well, and you feel a little bit better. So if you guys are kind of on the fence, I hope it helps. And feel free to reach out to both of us. You could get our info in the description box and we'll help you guys out. So until next time, we'll see you on the next episode of The Next Win.